While Cuphead isn't exactly a horror game, much of its weird imagery certainly falls into the realm of creepiness. Most notably, the many boss encounters Cuphead and his pal Mugman have to face off against on their perilous journey to fulfill the devil with his contracts. In fact, we even see our two heroes morph into some pretty unsettling evil versions of themselves during the bad ending of the game. It is clear that the developer, Studio MDHR, wanted to embrace the dark, disturbing visual designs often found in classic era animation by cartoonists such as the Fleischer Brothers and shows like Betty Boop. These weird and disturbing designs see enemies morphing different elements of their bodies into horrifying sights, a term known as body horror. It isn't just the boss battles that may creep players out though, the entire premise of Cuphead is creepy in itself. The story revolves around the devil tricking Cuphead and Mugman into gambling away their souls, and in doing so, putting both their lives on the line. You can see from the very start that skeletons surround the duo beside a craps table shaped like a coffin. Very suggestive and foreboding. But in today's video, we focus solely on the weird boss encounters and explain exactly why they're so creepy. At first glance, Cagney Carnation comes across as a cute, adorable looking flower. However, as battle commences, his face twists into a pointy roar, nose jetting out as his hand literally stretches his mouth wide open and dangerous thorns pop up all over Cagney's body. Rubbing his hands together with a wicked grin, Cagney begins to fire out his own head as a weapon, elongating his neck from his body in the process. As Cagney moves into his second attack phase, he fires out a spiny root across the ground, while his teeth turn to fangs and his eyes arch up the side of his head and gain more detail. As the battle comes to a close, Cagney's head flips back, mouth gaping wide open, as his eyes roll back and then disappear into their sockets. He thrashes around in torment as his soul leaves his body, his petals shriveling around his head. Creepy. Do you have a fear of clowns? Then this boss battle with amusement park clown Beppi is going to unnerve you from the get-go. His appearance is downright creepy, especially the way he wears such a twisted grin on his face throughout all stages of this fight. During phase 2 is when things really start getting weird. Beppi falls out of his bumper car and transforms into a giant balloon, his head filling up the center of the screen. And as we move into his final phase, he transforms yet again, this time into a terrifying looking carousel, cackling manically without pause. Every now and again his eyes bulging out of their sockets as he spawns in new enemies. But it's not until the very end of this stage, upon defeating this crazy clown, that things really get creepy, as Beppi's face literally splits open. Needless to say, he's not laughing anymore. Baroness Von Bonbon isn't the scariest of Cuphead's bosses by far, but she definitely has substantial creep factor. Most of this can be seen in the second half of the battle. However, the minions she orders to take down Cuphead in phase 1 are also pretty unsettling. I mean, just imagine encountering some of these things in real life. It would certainly put you off candy. And everything in this stage looks so angry, including that giant castle which the Baroness antagonizes after said minions are defeated, stirring it up into a rage and then chasing Cuphead down. Its eyes grow wide and look pretty horrifying, as do its teeth that jet right out of its face. The Baroness also removes her own head and throws it at Cuphead as he tries to duck and dive a slew of attacks. Seriously, what's with this game and its obsession with decapitation? Cala Maria at first is fairly easy on the eyes, an attractive looking mermaid who splashes around in the water and spits out pirate ghosts from her mouth. Okay, so that's kinda weird, but it's not exactly what I'd call creepy. It isn't until the midpoint of the fight, where Karla is attacked by a pair of electric eels, that things get a bit more disturbing. The attack itself is eerie and unnerving, because Karla stops fighting Cuphead upon seeing the eels and becomes visibly distressed. She then is bitten by them, shocking her body to reveal her skeleton as she lets out an agonizing scream. After this, her demeanor changes. Her teeth become sharp like fangs, and her eyes resemble those of a snake. She seems to be based on Medusa, as her hair also turns into a cluster of serpent-like creatures. These eyes even shoot out on their stalks, turning Cuphead to stone for a short period of time. It looks pretty grotesque, and this creep factor only ramps up further still as her body turns to stone and Karla's head snaps off, floating in mid-air as we enter the final stages of the battle. The Phantom Express is a multi-tier boss fight that takes place on a moving train. It is creepy from the outset. A spooky looking ghost shows up with a missing eyeball in his head. That's right, just one. He's a Cyclops. However, he instead has eyes sunken into the palm of each hand. He pops these eyes out and bounces them towards the player, all the while making a creepy yapping sound. After dispatching the ghost, it arches back and pulls a horrifying death pose. Next we face off against a skeleton, who isn't too creepy in itself, but the weird worm-like creatures in the carriages below sure are. The third encounter is against a pair of heads on stalks. It's unnerving as they have an almost realistic human appearance, with sharp, broken up teeth and super creepy looking eyes. As they spew out lightning bolts from their mouths, their faces become furious and full of rage. But it's not until we beat these creatures that the true horror reveals itself, as the faces of these angry looking worm people shrivel up and melt away, recalling that hideous scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Last but not least is the train itself. You think you've beaten it until it grows legs and an insane grin, eyes bulging from its face, and chases after Cuphead once again. Creepier still, its exposed heart, which is literally on fire. Beating the train results in its fire going out as it stumbles around with a pained expression on its face. Without doubt, the devil himself is the craziest, scariest boss fight in the entire game. But I mean, what do you expect? He is the devil, right? The fight begins with the devil's eye growing wide as his pupil animates a shot of a meat cleaver smashing up a cup, much to Cuphead's dismay. The devil then begins all manner of body horror, including growing hooves and a ram's head, and then stretching out his arms as if they were made of elastic, as well as engaging in weird chanting, causing his eyes to glow bright white, almost as if he were possessed. He can also grow multiple eyes and legs from his head before ripping it off and throwing it to the floor, where it jumps up and down like a spider. Eventually the devil tears his own skin off to reveal his skeleton. Afterwards, his skin lays limply over his throne. Cuphead follows him underground, where we see a giant face with terrifying eyes and an enormous grin. As the fight continues, this grin becomes an even more horrifying face of anger as the devil grows frustrated. His eyes eventually begin to tear up, but these aren't normal tears. They are, in fact, blood. The final few moments of the fight see the devil wailing like a baby as blood streams from his eyes. It's pretty dark stuff. The game over screen for this boss is equally nasty, showing the devil holding out the severed heads of both Cuphead and Mugman. With the main bosses out the way, let's quickly touch upon a few of the mini-boss encounters found in the casino stage when preparing to battle King Dice. Some of these are also pretty creepy. Mr. Wheezy, for example, is uncomfortable to look at due to his hellish facial expression and features one of the most brutal death sequences when he is literally stomped and ground into an ashtray by a human foot. Chip Bettington isn't scary, but his background sure is. A host of skeletons sat in silence playing cards. They look super realistic in design, and it's downright weird. Mangosteen is a magic 8-ball whose eyes hang by the sides of his mouth. He has a demented look on his face as he floats about the screen, and upon his defeat, his inky innards literally pour out of his open mouth. This has been a look at some of the weirdest, creepiest, and in some cases, scariest boss encounters Cuphead has to offer, with an explanation as to why. I hope you enjoyed watching, and be sure to let me know your favourite Cuphead moments in the comments section below. And that's it for today's video. Please remember to give it a like if you did enjoy watching, and maybe drop a comment too, as well as subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications so you never miss an upload. This channel specialises in variety horror content, including creepypasta readings, horror gaming facts and theories, and general interest pop culture horror videos. So if you're interested in all things spooky, you'll find something to enjoy here at SuperHorrorBro. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.